The Trail, Chapter 20. Jake was right. Unlike the numbingly cold rainstorm that nearly ended my hike a few days ago, today the air wraps around me like a hot, slobbery tongue. Like a hot, slobbery tongue. Simile or metaphor? Heat rises from the ground, rippling the summer leaves. There's no wind. As I slog forward, my eyes begin to droop and my feet get sluggish. Moose starts off ahead of me, but soon the heat gets to him too. He's matching my snail's pace. By midday, we've covered 7 hilly miles of trail and crossed over Route 302 to tackle the other side of the valley. Here, the trail goes sharply up. I battle gravity and heat. My world shrinks to my feet and the dirt in front of them. Step, step, step. Plod, plod, plod. My palms are greasy with sweat. I'm hot, hotter than baked pizza. Ooh, hotter than baked pizza. Simile or metaphor? Hotter than a cactus in the sun. Hotter than Mount Vesuvius when it's erupting. The heat does not quit. I mop my forehead and stare out at the trail ahead of me. I swear, shimmering with heat. I see a boulder up ahead, and all of me wants to lie down on it and go to sleep. Keep going. We're nearly there, Toe. It's Lucas's voice inside my head, telling me what to do again. I check my map. I still have 5 miles to go before the tent site near Mizpah Hut. Despite the heat, I shiver. Lucas is wrong. It's just like the last time he said that. So the author put in one of these lines in the silhouette of the bear. So usually we're shifting back in time. So let's do a quick jump backward or flashback. It was when we were doing number 5 in the list. We'd already done number 2, eat a worm. Ugh. That was the hardest one of all, I thought at the time. The day after our fishing trip, I got up early when the grass was still wet with dew to dig up worms from Lucas's backyard. My stomach was a pile of knots. I couldn't promise myself that I wouldn't upchuck the worm as soon as it touched my tongue. What does the word upchuck mean? When I arrived, Lucas was wearing a chef's apron that seemed to swallow his whole body and a white poofy hat. "We're going to have the most delicious worms in the world in the history of worm eating," he told me. He showed me a bucket and a spade. "You go dig up the worms, leave the rest to me." I went outside and dug the spade into the soft ground. When I pulled it out, there were at least 6 or 7 worms. Gross. I don't like where this is going. Writhing in the clod of dirt, I hurriedly dropped it into the bucket and ran back to the kitchen, my stomach churning. Lucas took the bucket. He made a big show of washing the worms, then drying them carefully with a square of paper towel. Next, he melted a stick of butter in a cast iron pan and tossed the wriggling worms inside, frying them up. He looked over at me, grinning maniacally as I tried to ignore the smell of cooking worms and the sizzle of hot butter. I almost backed out when I saw the limp gray squiggles in the pan, but Lucas knew exactly how to get me to eat them. He toasted 2 buns until they were golden brown, drenched them in more butter, and laid a worm in each bun. Finally, he put out bottles of Heinz and French's and squirted ketchup and bright yellow mustard until I could barely see the worms. We sat on his front steps and had eaten them like extra skinny, extra chewy hot dogs. They weren't bad. The next to go was number 3, spend a whole day at the movie theater. We paid for a 10 a.m. showing and stumbled out 10 hours later, our bellies lurching with popcorn, having watched 5 movies on 1 ticket. Ooh, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. What does this say about their character? For number 4, Lucas's dad helped us nail together a treehouse using scrap wood from an old barn that had been torn down. We spent entire afternoons in that rickety thing playing cards and reading comics, ready to dash down the rope ladder if a creaky board gave way. Then came number 5, blueberry picking. 2 weeks after building our treehouse, we took 2-gallon metal buckets and went up a local mountain in search of blueberries. Lucas, as always, was in the lead. His dad had shown him a super secret blueberry picking spot the year before. and he wanted to show it to me by himself. We climbed and climbed for hours, finally getting to the bald summit at noon. Blueberry bushes were everywhere, but a lot of them had been picked over. The mountain was known as Blueberry Spot for miles around. People had even seen commercial blueberry pickers combing through the bushes with rakes. Lucas wasn't worried, though. Come on, Toby. The spot I'm thinking about isn't on the path. We'll be sure to find gallons of blueberries there. Is it close? I peeked at the sky. The noonday sun was blazing overhead. I was nearly out of water. So close, he told me. He led us off the main path, bushwhacking through the high bushes that scraped against my legs and made me itch. After an hour, I was ready to stop. My arms were lobster red from the sun. Ooh, similar metaphor. They were lobster red. I had forgotten to wear a hat. I didn't even want to think about what my face looked like. How much longer? I asked. Just a little bit farther. But now Lucas didn't sound so sure. Well, you'd better be right. Keep on going. We're nearly there. But we weren't. We wandered until our water was gone and our skin started to peel and blister. The crows began to circle above. I swear they were waiting for us to drop so they could eat us. Finally, Lucas called it off. We'll find it next time, he said. Next time? Next time, I laughed. Some super secret spot you found. Well, you haven't been much help, Lucas snapped tiredly. Why don't you try taking charge for once? How am I supposed to lead when I don't even know where we're going? Is it my fault that I'm always the one who has to know where we're going? And that you never even bother to try to help out? Well, is it my fault that you never let me be first? I shouted. You never want to, Lucas shouted back. I sure do. I said the words knowing they were a lie. Yeah, right, Lucas rolled his eyes. You're just like a little lost puppy, Toby, following me everywhere I go. Anger rose in my throat. Well, guess what? You need me following you around to feel important, to feel like you're in charge. Ooh, drama. I was so mad I could spit. I was so dehydrated, only I was so dehydrated. I didn't have enough saliva to even do that. Except now you've screwed up and you don't want to admit it. Let's just find the trail and get back down, Lucas said stiffly. Fine. I was too tired and hot to argue anymore. I trusted Lucas to lead, to know where to go and what to do. Instead, he failed. For the first time, he had failed me. We backtracked until we hit the main path, then hiked down in complete silence. When we got to my house, I turned my back on him and went to the front steps without saying goodbye. Later that night, when I was getting ready for bed, Gran came to my room. She handed me a little glass jar. I found this on the porch. I think it's for you. Inside the jar was a single blue berry. A Post-it note was stuck to the lid. Lucas's handwriting, of course. Number 5, go blueberry picking. Crossed out. Sorry about losing the way. What does it say about Lucas's character? He got him into a mess, and now he's giving him sort of an apology. What types of characters apologize and recognize their flaws? All right, let's keep on going. Let's plow forward. Chapter 21. It's a short one. Chapter 21. Number 5. Number 5 was when things between me and Lucas started to go wrong. I began seeing ways that Lucas was not perfect, how he could mess up just like me. He'd been my good luck charm, and he failed me. I hear a low growl of excitement. I look up and instantly forget about Lucas. Moose! Moose, no! Moose is torn into the woods, barking furiously as he scrambles past a thicket of young spruce trees. His prey is small and furry and slow. It ambles unhurriedly through the brush, snuffling through the dirt for grubs. It is way too easy to catch. Moose! My pack is on the trail, and I go crashing through the brush. Come back, boy! Moose does not listen. By the time I get By the time I get to him, the skunk is already hissing and stamping. Ugh. Its tail puffed out so wildly, it looks like it's been stuffed into an electric socket. Hey there, boy. I try to keep my voice even. Moose, you leave him alone. Moose picks up his ears. He hears me, but his eyes are fixed on the skunk. Slowly, he lowers his head. A woof escapes his throat. He begins to circle in the black and white ball of fur. The skunk hisses again, and Moose rushes it. The skunk backs away and turns its tail toward Moose. Moose, stop! I cry. But Moose is full on attack mode. With a snarl, he darts forward, his mouth gaping open as he goes in for the kill. The skunk blasts him with a putrid yellow spray that lands squarely on Moose's nose. He sneezes and snuffs and lets out a piteous moan, as if hot coals had been thrown on his snout. His hind legs collapse on him, and he paws at his face. Satisfied, the skunk hurries on its unharmed way. Oh, Moose. I want to hug him, but the stink is overwhelming. Moose drops to the ground and rolls around trying to escape the horrible smell covering his body, but only succeeds in dirtying up his already mangy coat. As I watch Moose, all I can think of is that I've gone and done it. My bad luck has rubbed off on him. Of course, the first thing I tried to take care of would get hit in the face with skunk spray. Come on, boy. We'll get you cleaned up. I hope it's the truth. It seems like ages before we reach Mizpah. It is late afternoon and both of us are tired and stinky. Moose drops his head and lies down on the flat rock while I go inside. Afternoon light pours through the high windows of the dining room. Leaning back in the chair behind the front desk is the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. She's wearing a denim dress, cinched at the waist, with a simple brown belt. Interesting. Her long brown hair falls over her shoulders like waves on a beach. Her green eyes are fixed on the guitar she's strumming. Half-formed thoughts and murmurs spilling from her lips. She's lost in a song that she's making. I want to freeze that moment forever. A girl, her voice, sunlight falling on her hair. She finishes and looks up. Hi there. Hi, hello, I'm having trouble making words. Yes, well, you sing. That was really nice. Oh, yeah, skunk. I think I'm babbling. Oh, no. The angel puts down her guitar. Pepper, she sighs. He's been hanging around the hut for the past month. At some point, he was bound to spray. I tried to stop him, but he got Moose. The girl's lovely eyebrows arch delicately. I see the question on her face. I mean, he got my dog. Well, he's not my dog, but he's been following me. I named him Moose. The skunk didn't get a real moose. That would be funny. My efforts to sound intelligent are not improving. The girl comes out from behind the counter. Let's take a look and see what we can do. All right. That was a quick chapter.